Hello everyone, this is Bradley. Today this is a preset tutorial talking about the Bend Deformer in 5.0. You can download it for free from the link in the description. The Bend Deformer is one of four functions of the simple deform modifier. It's also the only one that I actually used a lot compared to the other three, which I've barely ever used. First, let's take a look at the bend function in the original simple deform modifier. Normally, if you start with a default plane, you find that no matter how you change the parameters, the bending just won't work. This is because Blender's bending requires both a plane axis and a deforming axis. Here, you only see the deforming axis control. If you choose the x-axis to bend, it should fold around the x-axis. On the other hand, the plane axis is hidden in the code. Basically, this function is defined to only work on the xy plane, meaning you have to rotate your plane upright in the edit mode before you can see the deformation. This is one of the major problems for many new users, including me, and I wanted to solve it in geometrynodes version. The second major problem is instance support. As a modifier, this bending function is applied to the entire object as a whole. But since we often use geometrynodes for instancing, you likely wanted to support multiple instances for good performance. The third problem is the restriction of bending. If you play with the restriction limits parameter, you will find that the bending origin just flies off, and you have to manually rotate your object to recover its origin. Personally, as someone who came from Cinema 4D, I think this feature is not usable. It may be tolerable for static modeling, but it's definitely terrible for animation. Therefore, here is the bend deformer in geometrynodes, along with a comparison between the 4.5 and 5.0 versions. You can see they look very different because I rebuilt this node from scratch in 5.0 to give it a new and unique design. You can probably also see how I tried to address some of the aforementioned problems in the design. This tutorial is meant to present the 5.0 version of the node. We now have not only the deforming axis, but also a visible plane axis, allowing you to bend geometry even when it's lying on the ground. Here we have a simple example of an elongated tube along the z-axis. When I apply this newest version of Bend Deformer to it, you can immediately see the default bending applied. Now, if I switch to a plane lying on the ground, you will find that the XY plane doesn't work well, but you can play with a different plane axis and a deforming axis to see how it behaves. The beauty of this algorithm is that if you bend it by 2 pi, equivalent to 306 degrees, you get a perfect circle. In contrast, another bending method use vector rotate is very simple, but you usually won't get such a perfect circle as with the simple deform modifier. The core bending algorithm is directly copied from Blender's simple deform code. I don't really understand this algorithm, which mixes sine and cosine functions. The parts with 1 minus and 1 divide are where my brain completely shuts down. That's why the prototype in 4.5 had very limited functionality and remained unchanged throughout the entire 3.0 and 4.0 series. Supporting multiple axes was essentially a convenience hack under the hood. While it produces some results, who knows whether it was systematically correct to bend things that way? I was essentially driving a car without knowing it. These presets then sat there for years. Probably no one noticed that, and no one except me ever used it. The motivation to rebuild it from scratch in 5.0 was to support instances. which is a prerequisite for efficiently building things like flower petals. As shown in this example, we use plain instances of a specific shape and bend them twice to achieve a petal-like form. You can copy the node tree and experiment with it as you like. With these reviews, I've roughly solved the limit option. You can enable it with a toggle, and you will see that part of the geometry is bent while the rest is not. This clamping is tied to the offset option, so when you slide the clamp, you get a transition from bending to straightening. An advanced feature is the inward pulling option. The idea is to roll the geometry. When you enter values beyond 2 pi, instead of getting overlapping geometry, the end is pulled inwards toward the center. By adjusting the clamp, you can see a rolling and unrolling effect. As far as I've checked, functionality-wise, this is equivalent to the Cinema 4D Bend Deformer, and it works similarly to the Houdini's bending as well. This raises another question. This is probably not realistic rolling. If you actually roll a piece of paper, the radius gets thicker and thicker, and unrolling does the opposite. With this bending-based rolling, however, there's always a predefined outer radius, so the radius doesn't change during the action. It's certainly possible to design a more realistic rolling algorithm, but that would require much more time and different design decisions to match the current Bend Deformer update. Unfortunately, that's beyond the scope here. I don't know whether you will have a use case for this unrealistic rolling, but this is available in other softwares without a cost. So it becomes available now compared to the original simple deform modifier. Now let's talk about more details of the new design and the usage. Most of the time, you can just use it as is, but it may not be easy to configure the plane axis and the bending axis. So I often just quickly cycle through all 9 options to see which one works in the current situation. A very important and tricky design decision is the origin offset. In the original modifier, the origin is controlled by an external object, usually as an empty. Since I wanted this function to work with instances, I removed that dependency. Instead, it uses the bounding box of the geometry, whether it's a single object or instances. All value default to 0.5 at the center, and 0 or 1 represents each end of the specific axis. If you are not sure where the bending origin is, you can enable the preview option. This introduces 2 problems due to Blender's limitation. 1, the preview marker is a grease pencil geometry, which cannot be rendered in the viewport without a grease pencil object. This is a bug that was already fixed in 5.1. 2, the marker has no color. While this isn't critical, it would definitely be more visually appealing. In fact, you can enable attribute display in the overlay, which lets you see the XYZ axis more clearly with colors. Otherwise, you can just tweak the offset parameters and the rotation until it looks right. Now, let's talk about somewhat weird design of these offsets. You may notice that due to different modes, the offset sliders jump between different panels. Offsets are basically separated into 3 sections. The first is the mean influencing axis, which is the most visible one, and it directly controls the clamping behavior. The second is the additional offset section, which acts as an extra offset for the circle origin during bending. As mentioned earlier, all offset parameters are using the bounding box, but if any of the axes has no thickness, this offset will be treated as an absolute value. So moving it by 0.5 shifts it equally in either direction. And you can always just type in a large number to overshoot this origin beyond the bounding box. The third is the rotation offset, which usually has no effect, but becomes relevant when you rotate the origin. That covers the settings for single modes. The settings are the same when working with instances, except that you have options to realize instances. This is useful if you want to add further operations afterwards, since toggling it may be easier than adding another node. What's very important though is that both options should remind you that the inputs must be instances. Otherwise, you will have a warning. This is extremely important to ensure everything works locally. Another key point is that if you are performing multiple bends on instances, as shown earlier when creating flower petals, you can realize the instance at the end, but not realize it in the middle, because the inputs in instance mode must always be instances. At the end, I want to add a bit of background story. As I've mentioned repeatedly, the biggest motivation was to support instances so that creating varying bends for flower petals would be easier. The node has gone through several important rewrites. Initially, this node used a group ID approach, so that even if you're using these kind of mesh islands, it can be supported for bending on local axis. However, I found this to be a very bad idea, because if you try to chain them together, the local information becomes very difficult to retrieve. So I ended up using an instancing method where you can keep the local information of each instance. Fortunately, I managed to finish it without using a for each element zone. Based on my previous experience with another preset rewrite called Curve Deformer, using a for each element is much slower than not using it. I will elaborate more in a different video about the history and the story of these nodes. For now, you just need to know that I had an old implementation, and now I have a new implementation supporting the single version. For example, a single geometry and a single curve. I put that into a for each element zone, but the performance was quite bad, so I ended up with a different implementation whose performance ultimately became comparable to the old version, while achieving more advanced functions. However, this time it turned out to be different. The performance was actually quite bad even after spending so much effort. The core reason is that split to instances is such a pain point. It's responsible for about 90% of the total lag. Technically speaking, removing this node gives slightly better performance, but I have to use it and it lags miserably. Fortunately, rebuilding everything again with a for each element zone was not very difficult, because I had already made the single mode and could use it right away. In the end, we arrived at a functioning and a performance result. In particular, we can still achieve all the desired final outputs, such as flower petals and other test animations. Perhaps in the future, there will be more tests or animation related to these presets, but this is it for now. I hope this shows that problem solving is never a single-step process. It requires prototyping, testing, refinement, and improvement. I hope you found it useful, and I'll probably see you next time. Bye-bye.